You know, it always sounds so good when you read it. But I have a feeling that there is something that changes from the original experience to when it finally gets put into writing. You know, and this is one of the passages that I think that may be true. You know, Jesus begins, I just always have this image of this point in the gospel. It's about halfway through Matthew's gospel. And I just see the apostles, there are no crowds around. It's been quiet. They've been kind of like on a retreat, away from everything for a little bit because they're in pagan territory. And, well, the crowds wouldn't come there. And I just imagine them sitting around a fire in the evening, having eaten their evening meal. And, you know, Jesus is kind of poking the fire with a stick, just, you know, how you do when you're sitting around a campfire. And everything is quiet until he looks at them and says, who do you guys, or who do people say the Son of Man is? Now, that's a term that you find in the prophet Ezekiel. He always talks about the Son of Man. And so he's asking them their opinion, which, you know, is interesting because usually it's not the disciples who teach the master, but the master who teaches the disciples. And so I suspect they sat up a little straighter at that moment because, you know, he was showing them a sign of respect. And so they give their answer. And then Jesus said, well, who do you say I am? And I just imagined there was a quiet that descended on them, that they all looked at Jesus and began asking themselves, who are you for me? And finally, it's Simon Peter says, you're the Christ. You're the one we've been waiting for. You're everything we hoped for and more. And, you know, Jesus' response is, no human being has revealed this to you. It's my Father in heaven. You know, the Holy Spirit has led you to this truth. And he said, you are rock, and upon this rock I will build my church. You know, when we call him Peter, his name is really Rocky. It's not Peter, but, you know, he called him Cephas, which is the Hebrew or the Aramaic word for rock. And then Petrus is the Roman, or the Latin word for rock, and that's how we get Peter, but his name is Rocky, you know? And it's that kind of truth that our whole life is built on as Christians. That Jesus is the one we've been waiting for. That, you know, we can't do it on our own, but with him and through him and in him we can do it. And that's the celebration that we have today, is that faith that is the foundation of our life as believers, as Christians, that Jesus is the one, the only one, that can really help us. And once more we gather to put our faith in him. But even more importantly, even as we do that, he gives us the gift of himself once more in word and in sacrament to strengthen us along the way. You know, every now and then it's good for us to sit down, maybe if you got a fireplace, light it and just sit there and look. And ask yourself, who is Jesus for me? Who is he for me? And why do I follow him? It's an interesting question just to meditate on today. You know, it may be that our Father in heaven will reveal something to us as well. That the Holy Spirit might enlighten us in ways that the Spirit hasn't in the past. And we become more fixed, more centered, more founded on the one who we celebrate today in word and in sacrament.